Hey guys, I am super happy to share some of what I think worked for me. And so this format was just a little bit easier. I didn't really plan this out. I just jotted some things down. So forgive me if I'm a little all over the place, but I definitely wanted to share. This group has been amazing and super helpful, as has Mark and James and the whole team. So thank you to you guys. Just a few things that I did that maybe you can replicate as well. You're looking at The Word's Bright, and that's actually not the book that I was talking about in the post that it hit the #1 in its categories, but I think it's instrumental because I actually was finished with The Thief's Countess, which I'm in historical romance, medieval romance, and held on to it when I learned about Nick Stevenson and Mark Dawson and Joanna Penn and all of that and the reader magnet. So I stopped writing or considering publishing Thieves, and I went backwards and wrote a prequel novella. And I think that was instrumental, honestly, in helping build the newsletter list. And so that's what you're looking at here. This is The Word's Bride. It's a 105-page novella. It's set 30 years before in kind of the same world. And so I'm going to start there. So the #1 thing I did, I think, in the beginning, probably about 6 months before launch, was to build a newsletter list. And I did that before I had any books or anything else with giveaways. Now, this one does have The Thief's Countess in here, but you'll notice that this is a King Sumo app. That's a great app for WordPress, although Rafflecopter works as well, and that's free. But before I had a book, I would do these giveaways and run these giveaways on my blog, which I did have set up already for my kind of non-author world, and then migrated it over. But I gave away other people's books. And so I would spend, I don't know, $20 on a bunch of digital copies, all in historical romance. I've always been laser focused on that group. Romance is huge. And so a historical romance reader might be in contemporary but have no interest in medieval. So I always kind of picked that genre to give away books or to partner with, and I still do for the most part. So I gave away other books, and I built what I call the CM Insider. So excuse this logo. It's actually brand new and needs to get bigger, and we're working on that as we speak. So this is the CM Insider. When I didn't have The Word's Bride, the bonuses were something that I created on Canva, which I absolutely love and adore. It was a PDF. I tweeted about 20 of my favorite authors, and about 50 of them got back to me, and I compiled those tweets with their #1 favorite historical romance pick. I did an interview with an author I met at a conference, and just kind of a little, I think I called it Historical Romance Insider or something. And that was the PDF that kind of started to get me some downloads between that and the giveaway. Some insider newsletter subscribers. Now you can see I have border bonuses. The world is set along the English-Scottish border in the 13th century. So I call everything border ambassadors, border bonuses. And so, that's one of the things I do to collect the newsletters. So I would say before I launched, between the giveaways and then later on Insta-Freebie, which was brilliant, I probably had about 3,000. The Word's Bright, as soon as that was ready, I put a sample up and did a sneak peek. And I started to even jump in on group giveaways with that before the book was even ready. So between that and the giveaways, I started to build the newsletter list, and that was absolutely instrumental. Let's see. So giveaways, I just wrote down some notes. I held both books until they were ready. I think that was important too. It's one of the pieces of advice I got, and I'll show you the actual book we're talking about here. Yay, look at that cute little tag. One of the pieces of advice I got last year at the Romance Writers Conference when I decided to go indie was because I work full time and I have a business, maybe hang on to some of your books and have a backlog. And so I did. So I could have launched this back in November, December, but waited until February, March. So now I'm actually ready with my next book in 2 months. And so I'll have a little bit, quicker of launches because I have a bit of a backlog. So this is Thief's Countess that is doing really well. And you can see it's in #1 in its categories. Yay. So yeah, I held on to that. All right. So the border ambassadors, I want to talk about them because you can see this has a pretty decent number of reviews. And I'm really, really happy with The Word's Bride's reviews, 107 reviews. So that is all because of the ambassador group. Let's see if we can find them here. Somewhat, yes.
You probably only get 25%.
Yeah, so there's my husband in the background. He knows nothing or knew nothing about romance or publishing or anything, and has become amazing as my kind of assistant here. So there's the border ambassadors. So I set up a private Facebook group. the border ambassadors get sneak peeks and all of those things that you would imagine a street team gets. And I started building that up before I even had books. And I know that seems kind of counterintuitive, but I did. I set up a Facebook group. There's my border ambassadors group. It's a private group. And I was really on the fence about that. I'd heard some mixed things about setting up a Facebook group because then you have to have something to say. I find that's been really beneficial for me because I kind of reach people in two ways now. So I send out a newsletter to just the ambassadors, but I also can grab them in that group. Right now I have about, I think over 200. It's only 135 members? I thought I had closer to 200. So 135 members. Actually, there's over 200 in the emails, and they aren't all in the Facebook group. So, but in the beginning, I had 5, 10. They were mostly people I knew loved historical romance, and I built that up using Mark Dawson's techniques. Put that link obviously in the back of all of the books, and try to think of neat things to do for them and exclusive things to do for them. So I think having those ambassadors have been super helpful in getting reviews. And as he mentioned, don't be disappointed with the reviews. I made a decision not to put out an application or track them or anything like that. So I definitely sent out ARGs to people who didn't review. I'd say about 25% have reviewed, but still, I'm very happy with it, and we'll do that again for the next launch. All right, so moving on from the newsletter and in the ambassador group, let's see, Insta Freebie. I should mention that as well, because once I did have Ward's Bride out, and that went out in February, it is exclusive now to Kindle Unlimited, but it wasn't at the time. So for about 1 month, I had that prequel completely, I guess wide, although I didn't spend too much time on the other platforms, just so that I can have it on Insta Freebie and participate in group giveaways like this. I sought out others to give away things with, and I did, I'd say probably 3 or 4 of these before I had to go ahead and, move from the whole book to the preview because it went into KU. So I can only have 10% now. But for about a month, I was able to put the Ward's Bride completely out there, and those group giveaways, I think, were really good. Okay, so then the Ward's Bride launched, and let's see, I launched that. It's and it still is 99 cents. It was about a month prior to the launch of the novel. There's not a lot of fanfare with that. I just kind of plopped it up and sent it to the newsletter, put it out on my social media, and I do have, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and all of that. I was a blogger back in the day, although it had nothing to do with reading and writing, so that helped, just knowing some of those different platforms. What's next? Then, so we'll go to the Thief's Countess now. The Thief's Countess launched in very early March. Before the Thief's Countess launched, I ran 3 free days on the Ward's Bride, so right as it launched simultaneously. I did put the Thief's Countess up, just like Mark mentions, as a soft launch for 99 cents for a few days. I sent that out to my border ambassadors, and sure enough, believe it or not, some of them did review at 99 cents, which was really nice of them, and then I got some verified reviews. So I used that strategy, and it was, I think, really helpful. Let's see what else. In terms of promotion, so obviously I promoted on all of my social media and all of that. It was helpful to have the free Ward's Brides days, so I kind of promoted that as well. But I did use some smaller blogs. I haven't applied for a BookBub yet. I'm kind of being strategic about that. I want to make sure I get it at the right time, if I get it. But I want to have another book to go into. So I'm going to be doing that next month. But I wanted to mention, out of all of the ones I've tried, Free Booksy was definitely the best for Wards, and book tweeters. And I was kind of not really keen on book tweeters because I know a lot about Twitter and just kind of having someone tweet all day. I wasn't dying for that, but my husband did a lot of research and we wanted to try it for $15, and it actually gave it a nice bump. So I can recommend book tweeters. I'll use them again. Free Booksy gave there's Wards, about 6,000 downloads. So I would definitely recommend them as well. Tried a whole bunch of others, but they were the only ones that I saw an actual bump with. So Words went 3 days into KU, so it immediately went into KU, and the first 3 days were free. And then I went ahead and launched Thief's Countess. With Thieves, I tried some smaller blogs, and none of them really worked at Thieves being $2.99 at full price. Some blogs that you were able to do full price at promotions at, and I wouldn't do that again. I've noticed that if I'm paying for some of these promos, there should be a sale or there should be